Chosen one, don't ignore this feeling that made you stop here, because this is not just another message passing through your screen. There is a reason your attention slowed down, a reason something inside you said, wait. You may not fully understand it yet, but this moment carries urgency, not fear, not panic, but a kind of quiet importance that you are not meant to overlook. Archangel Michael is not sending this message to everyone. This is not for those who scroll without awareness. This is for the one who has been sensing something, even if they haven't had the words to explain it, because lately something hasn't felt right, has it? Not in a way you could clearly point out, but in a way that stayed with you after certain moments passed. A feeling that something is off, something is not fully aligned, something doesn't sit the way it should. You may have tried to ignore it, to tell yourself it's nothing serious, just overthinking, just stress, just your mind creating unnecessary doubt. But even after you dismissed it, that feeling didn't fully leave. It stayed quietly, waiting for you to notice it again. This is where most people look away. They distract themselves, they push it down, they return to what feels normal. But you didn't completely do that. A part of you kept noticing. A part of you kept feeling that something around you requires attention, even if you couldn't explain why. And that is exactly why this message has reached you now, at this specific moment, not earlier and not later. Because this is not about creating fear. It is about bringing awareness to something that has already been trying to get your attention. There is something around you that you are being guided to recognize. Not everything is as it appears, and not every situation or person carries the energy you assume it does. But you are not being left unaware. You are being shown slowly, quietly, through feelings, through subtle signs, through moments that don't quite make sense on the surface. And if you continue to ignore those signals, you may miss the very thing that is trying to protect you. Stay here for a moment. Do not rush past this, because what this message is trying to show you is not obvious at first glance. But once you begin to see it, you will understand why you were not meant to ignore this feeling, and why this moment matters more than you realize. Chosen one, what you've been feeling lately has not been random, even if you've tried to convince yourself that it is. There have been moments, quiet, subtle, almost easy to dismiss, where something didn't sit right with you. Not in a dramatic or obvious way, but in a way that lingered just beneath the surface. A conversation that felt slightly off. A reaction from someone that didn't match their words. A situation that should have felt normal, yet left you with an unexplainable sense of unease. You may have told yourself it's nothing, that you're just overthinking, that there's no real reason to question it. But even after you moved on, that feeling stayed with you, didn't it? It's been showing up in different ways. Sometimes as hesitation when you're about to say yes to something. Sometimes as a quiet resistance when you're around certain people. Sometimes as a sudden shift in your mood without any clear reason. And instead of trusting it, you've been trying to make sense of it logically, trying to find visible proof before allowing yourself to believe that something deeper is happening. But this kind of awareness doesn't always come with clear evidence. It comes as a feeling first, a signal, something that asks you to pause instead of proceed. You may have also noticed that your tolerance for certain things is changing. Things you once ignored now stand out more clearly. Behaviors you used to overlook now feel heavier. Situations that once felt comfortable now feel draining or uncertain. This is not you becoming difficult or overly sensitive. This is you becoming aware. And awareness often begins as discomfort because it starts to reveal what no longer aligns with you. Even if you haven't fully accepted it yet, there may have been specific moments where you almost trusted that feeling. Moments where you paused and thought, something isn't right here. But then came the doubt, the second guessing, the need to rationalize. You may have told yourself you're reading too much into things, that you shouldn't jump to conclusions, that everything is probably fine. And so you moved forward anyway, choosing certainty over instinct. But even then, that quiet sense of unease didn't disappear. It just became quieter, waiting for another moment to surface again. This is where many people disconnect from their own awareness. They override it so many times that they stop recognizing it altogether. But you haven't reached that point. You are still noticing. You are still feeling, and even if you don't fully trust it yet, you haven't completely silenced it either. That matters more than you realize, because that feeling is not there to confuse you. It is there to guide you. There is a reason it keeps returning. A reason it shows up in different situations, through different people, in different forms. It's not trying to overwhelm you. It's trying to get your attention in a way that you cannot easily ignore anymore. You are being made aware of something that does not fully align with you, something that requires your attention before it goes further. And the truth is, you are closer than you think to understanding what it is. Not because something new is about to happen, but because something that has already been present is becoming clearer. That feeling you've been carrying, that quiet awareness you've been trying to explain away, is leading you towards something important. And this time, it's not going to be as easy to ignore. Chosen one. What you have been feeling is not fear, and it is not your mind creating problems where none exist. It is something much deeper than that, something that does not come from confusion, but from awareness trying to reach you. This is where the message becomes clear. What you have been sensing is protection in motion. Archangel Michael is not sending you uncertainty. He is revealing to you what your eyes have not fully recognized yet. The uneasiness, the hesitation, the subtle discomfort. These are not signs that something is wrong within you. They are signals that something around you is not aligned the way it should be. There is something in your environment, whether it is a person, a situation, or a path you are considering, that carries a layer you have not fully seen. On the surface, it may appear normal, even acceptable. It may not give you a clear reason to step back, but beneath that surface, there is a disconnect, something that does not match the direction you are meant to move in. And because it is not obvious, because it cannot be easily explained, your awareness is trying to guide you through feeling rather than logic. You were not meant to recognize this immediately. If you had seen it too early, you might have dismissed it or even resisted it. But now, something within you is ready. That is why the feeling has become stronger, more consistent, more difficult to ignore. It is not trying to confuse you. It is trying to show you something before it becomes something heavier. Because not everything that seems harmless at first remains that way. Some things reveal their truth only over time, and by then they are harder to step away from. This is why the message is urgent, not in a way that creates panic, but in a way that calls for awareness. You are being guided to look again, but this time without forcing logic to explain everything. Pay attention to how things feel, not just how they appear. Notice where your energy shifts, where your comfort changes, where your mind tries to convince you that everything is fine, even when something inside you says otherwise. These are not случайность. These are precise signals meant to protect you before something moves further than it should. You may begin to see small details more clearly now. Things that once seemed insignificant may start to stand out. Words that didn't fully match actions. Patterns that repeat in ways that don't feel sluchino. Moments where you feel drained instead of supported, uncertain instead of grounded. These are not things to fear, but they are things to recognize. Because once you see them clearly, you will understand why that feeling was there all along. This is not about assuming the worst. It is about seeing the truth. And the truth does not always come in loud or obvious ways. Sometimes it comes quietly, through awareness, through feeling, through a knowing that cannot be fully explained but can be deeply felt. And once you allow yourself to acknowledge it, you will realize that you were not being left in the dark. You were being guided step by step towards seeing something that was always present, but never fully recognized. Right now, you are being shown what you need to see before it becomes something you have to struggle to understand later. This is protection, not after something happens, but before. And the more you allow yourself to stay aware, the clearer it will become what this message is trying to reveal to you. Chosen one, now that this awareness is rising within you, this is the moment where everything becomes important. Not what is happening around you, but how you respond to what you are beginning to see. Because once something is revealed, even quietly, there is always a choice that follows. You can acknowledge it, or you can dismiss it. And this is where many people lose the very protection they were given. Not because the guidance wasn't clear, but because they chose comfort over awareness. As Archangel Michael brings this message forward, you are not being asked to fear anything. You are being asked to pay attention and not turn away from what you already feel. There will be moments, very subtle ones, where your mind will try to override your awareness. You may start to question yourself again, telling yourself that maybe it's nothing serious, maybe you're reading too much into things, maybe you should just let it go and move forward like everything is normal. That voice can feel convincing because it offers you ease, it removes discomfort, it allows you to stay in familiar patterns. But understand this clearly, ease is not always alignment. And what feels comfortable in the moment is not always what is right for you in the long run. There may also be pressure from your environment, even if it is not intentional. People around you may continue acting the same way, expecting you to respond the same way, encouraging you directly or indirectly to ignore what you are feeling. Situations may continue as if nothing is different, making you question whether anything has really changed at all. And in those moments, it becomes very easy to silence your awareness just to maintain balance on the surface. But what you feel is not coming from the surface. It is coming from a deeper place that sees beyond what is being shown. If you ignore this again, the pattern will not disappear, it will repeat. The same feeling will return, possibly stronger, possibly in a different form, but it will not leave until it is acknowledged. Because what is being revealed to you is not sluchino placed in your path. It is something that requires recognition before it can be released or before you can move forward clearly. And if you continue to look away, you may find yourself going in circles, facing the same confusion again and again, wondering why things don't feel right, no matter how much you try to adjust on the surface. This is not about making sudden decisions or reacting emotionally. It's about staying aware long enough to truly understand what you are being shown. You are not being rushed, but you are being asked not to delay your awareness. There is a difference. Take your time, but do not ignore the signs. Observe without forcing conclusions, but do not dismiss what you feel. Let clarity form naturally, but do not push it away when it begins to appear. There is also a part of this process that may feel uncomfortable, because awareness often brings change. Once you truly see something, you cannot go back to seeing it the same way again. And that may require you to adjust how you respond, how you engage, or even how you move forward in certain areas of your life. But that discomfort is not something to avoid. It is something that guides you toward alignment. Right now, your strength is not in acting quickly. It is in staying present, in not allowing doubt to silence what is already becoming clear, in trusting that what you feel is not random, but intentional. Because this message was not given to you to confuse you, it was given to you to protect you. And the more you remain aware, the more you will understand exactly what you are being guided away from, and why it matters now more than ever. Chosen one, as you reach this point, something within you is already beginning to settle, not because everything has been fully explained, but because you are starting to understand in a way that goes beyond words. This is where the urgency transforms into clarity, and the confusion you once felt begins to fade into a quiet sense of awareness that stays with you. Archangel Michael did not bring this message to you to leave you uncertain or uneasy. This was never about creating fear. This was about guiding you into a place where you can move forward with understanding instead of doubt. You may not have all the answers right now, and that is perfectly fine. What matters is that you are no longer ignoring what you feel. You are no longer pushing aside that inner signal that has been trying to get your attention. Instead, you are beginning to listen, even if it's quietly, even if it's without full clarity. And that shift alone changes everything. Because once you start listening to your awareness instead of resisting it, you begin to move differently. You begin to notice more. You begin to respond with intention instead of habit. There will be a moment very soon where things begin to make sense in a way they didn't before. It may not come all at once, and it may not arrive in a dramatic way. It could be something simple, a realization, a conversation, or even a moment of stillness where everything connects. And when that moment comes, you will recognize it immediately. Not because someone tells you, but because it will feel right. It will feel clear. It will feel like something has finally aligned in a way that removes the uncertainty you were carrying. And when that clarity arrives, you will see exactly why this message reached you when it did. You will understand why certain feelings kept returning, why certain situations felt off, and why you couldn't fully ignore what was happening around you. What once felt confusing will now feel purposeful. What once felt uncertain will now feel guided. And most importantly, what once felt like something you had to figure out on your own will now feel like something you were being led through the entire time. You will also begin to notice a change in your energy, not in a dramatic or overwhelming way, but in a steady, grounded sense of calm. The tension that came from not understanding will begin to ease. The overthinking will begin to quiet down, and in its place, there will be a sense of trust, not blind trust, but a quiet confidence that you are no longer moving without awareness. You are no longer walking forward without seeing. You are now aware of what deserves your attention and what does not. At the same time, you may notice that certain things begin to naturally fall away from your path. Not because you are forcing them out, but because they no longer align with the awareness you now carry. Situations that once held your focus may start to feel distant. People who once influenced your decisions may no longer have the same impact. And instead of questioning these changes, you will begin to accept them as part of your alignment. This is not loss, it is adjustment. It is your path becoming clearer by removing what does not belong. Something new will also begin to take shape, even if it's not fully visible yet. Opportunities, ideas, or directions may begin to appear in subtle ways. And this time, instead of rushing toward them or questioning them endlessly, you will approach them with awareness. You will feel the difference between what aligns and what does not. You will recognize the contrast between clarity and confusion. And that recognition will guide your choices in a way that feels natural instead of forced. As you continue forward, remember that you are not expected to have everything figured out. You are only being asked to stay aware, to stay present, and to trust what has already been shown to you. Because what you have received is not something temporary. It is a shift in how you see, how you feel, and how you move through your life. And once that shift takes place, it stays with you. This message was meant to protect you, not by controlling your path, but by helping you see it clearly. And now that you are beginning to see, everything you do from this point forward will carry a different kind of clarity. You are no longer moving blindly. You are moving with awareness. And that awareness will continue to guide you, quietly but powerfully, in every step you take from here.